Hello and welcome to the Ask Mandy show. Today we're going to be talking about appraisals. Recently I've had a few questions about appraisals. One being, what's the difference between a market analysis and an appraisal? Two being, do I need to get an appraisal on my home prior to listing it? And three is, will the buyer's lender be ordering an appraisal on my home prior to closing? And what happens during that process? First off, the difference between a market analysis and an appraisal is a market analysis is done by a real estate agent, and it's typically complimentary as part of their package that they do when they go out to first view your home. It gives you an idea of what your home is worth in today's market in a normal market within a certain time period. Appraisal is done by a licensed appraiser and is much more comprehensive. Typically appraisals these days are running around that $500 to $600 range. That appraiser goes in and measures the whole house, pulls up all the comparable properties, and then gives a comprehensive report about your home's value. The next question, which leads to the next question, do I need to get an appraisal prior to listing my home? You can. Is not an absolute necessity. Some people do for legal purposes. If they're going through a legal process, sometimes a court would order an appraisal to give you the value of your home. That's typically when I see it. I don't see a lot of sellers ordering appraisals prior to closing. Typically, they would call me and ask if I could come out and take a look at their property and tell them what it's worth. And that's something I do very commonly. So I'll go out to the house, take a look around, I get all the information from the county and their records that they may have on the home, and go back to my office and pull up comparable properties that have recently sold within the last 6 months and provide them a report and a price range of what their house would typically sell for within the next 30 days or so. In our area up here, picking the price of a home is not always simple. Because we have a lot of different types of properties, lake homes, land, farms, just big houses and little houses. They're not all exactly the same or built within the same amount of years. So it is a little bit more difficult to pick price if you have a unique home. So that might be a conversation that we have to have where we really don't exactly know the market value. But in the end, a home is worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it. So there's a little bit of adjustment that needs to be done sometimes during that process of listing, where we may have to do some price reductions, or sometimes it could happen that it was priced very well and there are lots of buyers on the market and you could get multiple offers and it could bid the price up. We aren't seeing a ton of that in our area right now, but in a lot of the bigger cities, they definitely are. So that brings me to my third question that I was asked, and is an appraisal going to be happening on my home? Is a lender going to order an appraisal? 99% of the time, if your buyer is getting financed, the lender will order an appraisal. And they do that to protect themselves because they are going to be giving that money for the home. And if something ends up happening where you went into default and they get it back, they want to know that their value is there so that when they get it back, they can resell it again. They're not going to give you a mortgage for more than the home is worth to protect their assets. Sometimes during that process, in very fast markets where there's not a lot of inventory, homes can sell for more than their appraised value. And there's a couple different things that can happen in that circumstance. I actually had one earlier this year that the home appraised for $5,000 less than the buyer offered, the buyer and seller agreed upon. What did happen is the buyer ended up paying some money out of their pocket, but then we did end up doing a price reduction because it wasn't, they weren't going to be able to get the loan unless they were able to reduce the price and have the bank and the appraisal and the price match. That is a stressful and sometimes sad situation because as a seller, you're expecting that much for it, but there you do run the risk of, if you do cancel, putting it back on the market, having another appraisal, and then having the same issue over and over again. So, long story short, appraisals are typically a part of the process in real estate. When that happens, it all depends upon your circumstances. But if you guys have any more questions on appraisals, you can feel free to contact me. I have lots of experience with it. And also, if you find this video valuable, or you know somebody that may benefit from this information, please give a share and give a like if you think it's valuable. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll be talking to you soon.